Many European countries, even we in Russia, we are considered great powers after all. But think about this. Here's Indonesia, 280 million people, and it's growing all the time. Do you realize what's happening? The world is changing. It's changing dramatically. And it's not just about population. The point is that all these countries and the economies of these countries are being transformed at a fairly rapid pace. The economic structure of these countries is changing. The aggregate GDP is growing. The economic growth rate is increasing. Education, the level of education of the population is increasing. Several issues have been mentioned. The problem between the US and the PRC in the area of tariffs and trade relations. Well, yes, there is a PRC excess in the area of trade, and that's probably what we should be striving to balance. But I agree with our Chinese friends here. But we need to do it calmly during the negotiation process, and it is absolutely possible to achieve the desired result. I have no doubt at all that the United States, of course, will eventually come to that. Indonesia is beginning to work within the BRICS, and it is beginning to work quite confidently. We will do our best to encourage Indonesia to join the BRICS family and receive the necessary dividends from this joint work. We do not consider any rearmament by NATO to be a threat to the Russian Federation because we are self-sufficient in terms of ensuring our security. We are constantly improving our armed forces and our defense capabilities. Whatever NATO does, of course, it creates certain threats, but we will counter all these threats that will arise. There is no doubt here. In this regard, any rearmament and increase in budgets up to 5% of the GDP of NATO countries does not make any sense. In the West, from time to time, for many years, the question of a threat from Russia has been arising. This was a convenient way for Western elites to build their domestic policy. Because on the basis of an imaginary threat from the East, they could always make money from taxpayers and explain their own mistakes in the field of economy by the threat from the East. We have to live by the rules. What rules? What are you making up? You write rules for others, but you're not going to follow any, are you? But who will live like that by such rules? That's where the crisis began. But not because Russia acted from a position of strength. No, those people who until recently we called partners started to act from a position of strength. And the former Deputy Secretary of State, Mrs. Nuland, I think, said directly, "We spent $5 billion, so why aren't we going to leave the country now?" We spent $5 billion on the coup. Wow, what a revelation. Hello, here we are. Our Western partners have always acted at least from a position of strength since the collapse of the Soviet Union. A famous Hitler propagandist once said that the more unbelievable a lie is, the faster it will be believed, a statement commonly attributed to Joseph Goebbels, Hitler's chief propagandist. This myth that Russia is going to attack Europe, NATO countries, is the incredible lie that the population of Western European countries is trying to make them believe. But we realize that this is nonsense. Volkswagen is dying, Porsche is dying, the glass industry is dying, the fertilizer industry is dying. What's the point? I'll buy a ticket to spite the conductor and I won't go. So it's rubbish. So if countries want to increase their budget even more, that's their business. But it will not benefit anyone. They will create, of course, additional risks. It is not our decision, it is the country's decision. I think it is absolutely irrational and pointless. And of course, there are no threats from Russia. This is just nonsense. Dr. Goebbels said, I repeat, the more unbelievable a lie is, the faster it will be believed. And someone in Europe probably believes it. They'd be better off saving their car industry and raising wages. Mr. Trump said that Putin's not going because I'm not going, and what's he going to do there when I'm not there? And he's right. He's absolutely right in this sense. That's the first thing. The second, he has also said repeatedly that if I were president, this war would not be happening. I think he's right here as well. And I'll tell you why. Because in one of my last phone conversations with Mr. Biden, I told him that, I'm not going to go into details, of course we have tapes of conversations about this. I told him that it is not necessary to escalate to some heated conflicts. Everything must be resolved peacefully, and we must force the current leadership of Ukraine to meet the demands of its citizens living in the southeast, to stop the genocide of the Russian-speaking population, and to stop violating human rights there, as the previous human rights administration was always saying. By the way, I said to him at the time, "It seems to you that everything will be solved so easily now, but some time may pass and it will turn out that it would be better not to do where you are pushing the situation." I told Biden that, "But you can argue all you want, you know. You can label Russia for being aggressive all you want. Listen to me. You don't have to be a big expert in public international law to understand the logic I'm going to talk about. A part of the territory of one country has decided to secede from the main part. This is the southeast of Ukraine, Donetsk and Lugansk. They made the decision to secede. Did they have the right to do so or not? Strictly speaking, within the framework of international law and the UN Charter, they had the right to do so. Second, in the course of this process, was this part of the country obliged to ask permission from the central authorities, from Kiev, or not? It was not. Did we have the right to recognize their independence? We didn't recognize it for 8 years, you know. For 8 years we were tolerating and trying to negotiate. Finally, they declared independence. Did we have the right to recognize them? Why not? We recognized them. But having recognized them, we made a treaty of mutual assistance with them. Could we do that? Well, of course we could. We did. Within this treaty, which we ratified by the Parliament, we were obliged to provide them with assistance, including military assistance. They came to us with this assistance officially, and we provided this assistance. Tell me, where did I make a mistake? At what step did I make a mistake? Well, you won't find it. It's not there. We are ready to meet. I said, by the way, I'm ready to meet with everyone, including Zelensky. Yes, that's not the question. If the Ukrainian state trusts someone to negotiate, let it be Zelensky, for God's sake. That is not the question. The question is who will sign the documents. We don't care who negotiates, even if it's the current head of the regime. I am even ready to meet, but if it is some final stage, not to sit there and share something endlessly, but to make a point. A point must be made, it must be signed by the legitimate authorities. Otherwise, the next person will come and say, and throw it all in the rubbish bin. Now the situation has changed, and you say, no, let's negotiate. Let's do it. Let's open these packages and negotiate. We can't sit there day and night for a whole year. That is why we are ready to continue these negotiations. The overall situation on the humanitarian track is such that these negotiations make sense. It's sad and hard to talk about it. We gave away 6,000 bodies, more than 6,000. In return, we received, I think, 57. We have already given 6,000 bodies of dead Ukrainian servicemen. We are ready to give about 3,000 more now. Sad, tragic figures. Believe me, we want to end the conflict too, and as quickly as possible and in the best peaceful way possible if we could agree.